Regarding farming sims, it's needless to say how oversaturated the genre is, where the appeal is sometimes based on vibes, but one can't exactly overlook another relevant side of the appeal. The addicting gameplay loop of optimizing automation to maximize profit output. There's nothing exactly wrong in indulging in a capitalist fantasy of exploiting nature for the benefit of your pocket in video games, maybe. But exactly because they provide a framing of productive practices, there's a lot of room to explore interesting concepts besides just manipulating every last detail to your own economic benefit. In Before the Green Moon, we want to migrate to the moon, because apparently that's where life gets better for everyone. That's where people ought to be if they want to have opportunities. It's slightly implied that Earth has had its time and people are slowly migrating, if they have the means to, or just trying to live by if they stay. We need money for the ticket, so we join a community to work on a farm to save money for the ticket to the moon. The gameplay loop is very bare bones. There are a couple sources of income like foraging for snails, fruit and scrap, or we can go with actual farming. We get a free daily dose of seeds that we can plant, care for and sow and sell the grains off. We can then unlock better crops by purchasing them from a friend to get better profit margins by selling their products. You have the usual collections of tools to water your crops, cut weeds, and till the soil. These are initially very inefficient and they also consume more of your stamina. So as time goes by and you save up money, you can upgrade your tools to work more efficiently and without getting tired. Then there's the saving up money for the moon ticket. The more mechanical side of the gameplay loop is mostly trying to figure out what portion of your income to assign to each thing as you go by, knowing that ultimately the goal is to save up for the ticket, which will happen sooner or later. Part of it is also managing your time so that you can tend to the farm, but knowing that you will inevitably get tired if your farm is too big to work on. There's basically no automation. You need to do everything yourself, so designing the craziest intensive agriculture farm to earn millions, like, say, in games like Stardew Valley, isn't possible. All you really have to go by here is your own work. You need to put your own time into it if you want to save up money. The money you make from the farm is made at the expense of mostly yourself. As a gameplay loop, it might be boring, but it makes total sense in the experience. Understanding what actually creates value, work, and how crucial that work is. You need to water the crops yourself till you get tired, just to have a break at noon to have a meal, to recover your stamina, and go back to finish your daily work routine on the crops. The game has a season system with 2 seasons, humid and dry. We have what could be considered the closest thing to automation in the game. Since it rains more, you don't need to spend so much time watering the crops, which is, in my experience, most of the daily work. But we are at the mercy of the weather and luck. No matter how hard we work or how much money we invest, we still need to work and hope for good weather. In the dry season, it's a game of balancing your water supply, stamina, and time. Because you need to water, but you need to bring the water from an eternal source to your farm. This makes Before the Green Moon's mechanics be more about we understanding the importance of labor, instead of finding ways of optimizing the exploitation of nature and other people. It paints an interesting bittersweet landscape of not feeling quite right, racking up the money for our selfish moon migration goals. Especially because we don't pay for housing nor for food. There's a cafeteria that serves free food, which is used to replenish your stamina, and so is integrated as an actual mechanic that we benefit from, instead of just being a narrative gimmick. You're grateful that you can recover stamina daily for free to be able to go back to work, but you're still working to save up for a trip. Intentional or not, it doesn't feel right, but that should be the point. In the cafeteria, we can befriend Elvis, the waiter and chef, and we can join him late at night in closing up shop by helping him clean. When we go there during the day, we need to wait for our turn to get food if there are any other customers. We understand that it is important to respect other people's time, and that nothing we get comes out of the blue or by solely our own merit. If you really want to make a lot of money, you really need to push yourself and work the whole day, from dusk till dawn, or till you run out of stamina, skipping on every social interaction the game offers, skipping on what life is all about. Elvis in the cafeteria is one of the characters that you can hang out with. The social side of the game is arguably the most exciting part. Working is the actual gameplay loop, but socializing is where the most memorable moments happen. And there's so much personality in the world of the game. The characters talk in a weird way, which initially seemed like English written by a non-native speaker, but if I understood correctly, the creators are native speakers, so my guess is that the writing style is intentional. This is a future where time hasn't stopped and the way we act and speak has continuously developed like it has since forever. The game does not push a narrative onto the player, things just are. And it's up to the player to interpret the information and make their own conclusions. It isn't a very structured script. There's an end goal, but it's up to the player to think about what that's all about. It isn't moralistic by shoving into the player's face if what is being shown is inherently good or bad. The characters we meet, befriend, and possibly romance have their own lives and goals, which from outside are not entirely clear to us. They do thread their own paths, having their intimate goals and motivations and reasons for doing what they do. And it's not important that we understand, just that we respect them. We see them struggle and work on stuff. We see them being suspicious of us when we first meet. We see them bicker between themselves. We meet Int, an engineer building something on their garden that we find out to be a teleportation tunnel. By the end of the narrative, they cross it to never be seen again. We meet Elvis, the cafeteria worker who we help now and then. We meet Pony, who is a seed designer struggling with her research. The world is not about the player and for the player, it is actually for the player to feel a small part of. A world with reciprocity that keeps existing even when we aren't there. There is barely any exposition in the whole game, and lore is usually fed through mentioning terms and events in completely natural conversation, like you would actually eavesdrop a conversation between two strangers on the street. You start to realize that you'll have to leave everyone behind when you achieve your economic goals. The game gives you so much time and interactions with a bunch of different characters that it's natural to feel like the bittersweetness of it all is what it's all about. You keep racking up money, but for what exactly? Why are we doing this? It's implied as well that there is a relationship of dominance between the moon dwellers, who see themselves as morally superior and to whom we send our crops, and the bottom earth dwellers, and we are about to embark on a journey to become one of those former people. When we finally board the lift to the moon, we are treated impersonally, like cattle, and assigned a room for the trip. We realize we can order food, apples, which cost double than what they did in the community. We are all alone the whole time, with only a tiny window from which we can watch space outside, where we slowly and progressively start to see less of planet Earth and more of the moon. We are alone and everyone was left behind. We won't probably get another opportunity to see them again. Why the hell are we here?